If you're in the process of laying your own patio and you're wondering what is the best grout to use, then you are in the right place, because in this video I'm going to be showing you one of the best options available, which is the Sika FastFix all-weather jointing compound, and I'm going to be talking you through 5 of the most common mistakes that DIYers make when using it. Trust me guys, this stuff is really expensive, so you're not going to want to make any of these mistakes, so make sure to stick around for the entire video. Mistake number 1, and the easiest to remedy, is actually spending too much money on this in the first place. If you're buying this from a DIY store, then chances are you're going to be paying upwards of £35 a tub, whereas on Amazon, if you've got Prime, you're going to get free delivery and you're going to be paying around £30, and this does add up. So make sure to check out the link in the description, which will take you right to this. Mistake number 2 is not cleaning out your grouting cracks before you actually start to apply this. Think about it, if any living material has blown into it, like grass or leaves off of trees, since you've actually laid the patio, and that dies after you've put it in, it's going to leave a small gap, which is going to allow in water, and when that freezes, it's going to start to crack. So make sure to spend a small bit of time, grab a hoover and go along every single grouting line and make sure you've got out everything before you start. Mistake number 3, and something that can cause you a lot of problems, is not getting the patio wet enough before you apply the FastFix grout. Now this is going to cause you a couple of problems. 1, it's going to cause staining of the slabs like I'm showing you here. What's happened here is the patio was not wet enough and it's caused the sand to dry out too quick, and some of that colouring has actually stained the slabs. Now if this has happened to you, it's not the end of the world. That will fade over time, but something I'm sure that you would rather avoid. Secondly, this stuff actually comes in the bag slightly wet. By adding liquid, you are giving yourself more time to apply it, which is great. The box says that you have a 1-hour window once you've opened up one of these bags. So just remember, get everything really wet. You can't get too wet with this stuff. I know what you're thinking, but Jack, on the box it says to avoid pooling water. Well, yeah, absolutely. You don't want puddles. You don't want to be applying this stuff as if you've got a swimming pool on top of your patio. But if you've laid it properly, you shouldn't have that anyway. Mistake number 4 is not compacting the jointing compound. Now this step is essential, and it literally says that on the tub. If you just brush this in and then walk off and call it a day, I promise you're going to have air gaps in between that sand, which will mean that it doesn't properly set. Now ideally what you want to do is buy yourself a jointing trowel that is specifically made for pushing down this stuff into those cracks. However, if you would rather save the money, do what I did and get yourself an old piece of fence panel which has a narrow end on one side, cut it down short, something around 5 or 6 inches would be perfect, and use that to really push down. You really want to spend your time doing this more than any other step. This is going to make sure that everything sets properly and that you can't just pull this stuff out with your finger. Most negative reviews you see online to do with this FastFix compound is due to the fact that they haven't spent that time compacting it down to make sure that they get that proper set. So don't skip this step and make sure that you do this. Now the last mistake that most people make is to do with coverage. On the tub it does claim that this will cover an area of 20 square meters. However, what a lot of people fail to read is that is assuming that you are using 450 by 450 slabs and that you have a grouting width of 5 mil and a depth of 20 mil. If you're using those slabs and you meet that specification perfectly, then absolutely each tub is going to do around 20 meters squared. However, if you're like me and you use these slightly bigger slabs, these are 600 by 900, and you allowed a thicker gap, I went for a 10 millimeter gap, and in most cases it was deeper than 20 mil, then this isn't going to be accurate. For an area of 30 square meters, you can do the maths. I should have needed 1.5 of these tubs. However, what I actually needed was 4 tubs, which is double. I thought I was going to spend about £65. I ended up spending about £130 on grout. To be honest, I only needed a little bit of the 4th tub, but they don't sell this in batches any smaller. Bear this in mind, this is an expensive option, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, should I use sand and cement? But this does pay off. It does cost more, but you are going to get a much better finish in the end of it, and it's going to last you a lot longer. The point here is, don't go into this thinking that all tubs are going to cover 20 square meters. If you have a different patio, then you need to bear this in mind. And finally, as a thank you to those of you who are still watching this video, a little bonus tip: make sure you allow long enough for this stuff to dry out. On the box, it does say anywhere from 8 to 15 hours is going to be the recommended window, depending on temperature. But if you're working with temperatures lower than that, then sometimes this can take up to 3 or 4 days to actually go off. Don't grout this one day before a party, it's going to ruin the grout. Give yourself plenty of time for this to go off. If you liked this video, then please go ahead and click the like button, consider subscribing, and if you're laying your first patio, then I recommend you check out this video next, where I show you how you can actually apply this Sika FastFix compound. Until next time, happy building.